In 1933, more people attended the Chicago World's Fair than ever before visited an exposition of any sort. In spite of that fact, the 1934 fair is attracting millions more visitors, with all indications pointing toward another record-breaking season. This 1934 version of A Century of Progress is admittedly the outstanding vacation attraction of the decade. Its tremendous size and impressive list of new attractions literally stagger the imagination. If you join the millions who this year will visit A Century of Progress, you can review an exposition unparalleled in history. Far corners of the earth have been combed to complete the hundreds of exhibits that crowd the 4.5-mile-long fairgrounds in colorful profusion. The craftsmanship of Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas has been summoned to provide amusement and interesting instruction for you. So complete and so absorbing is this great fair that one finds all too short whatever time he may have allotted for his visit. Several million visitors to the 1933 fair will return this year to see the many features they couldn't crowd into their visits last year. And they will thrill anew when they see the great array of exhibits and features added since the fair closed last fall. New games and breathtaking adventures in strange, modern vehicles are here. New shows, entertainment specialties, and villages which reproduce numerous alluring foreign communities are here. If it is information you desire, it also is here in graphic and absorbing abundance. The finest minds in the world have bent to the task of marshaling and presenting a summary of knowledge and advancement through the centuries. Science, medicine, mechanics, literature, and the arts, the intensely interesting records of them all are here. It is difficult for you to realize that this huge exposition occupies every inch of space between Lake Michigan and Chicago's Outer Drive, from 12th Street to 39th Street, 22 long city blocks. Not to mention a great island and the lagoons surrounding it. Even the sweeping bridges between island and mainland carry elaborate exhibits, splendid restaurants, and entertainment features. Dominating these highly interesting displays and exhibits through its completeness, its originality, and size, the Ford Exposition occupies over 11 acres along Lake Michigan near the southern end of the fairgrounds. From the very outset, the Ford Exposition was enveloped in an atmosphere of magic. Less than 6 months before the day it was to be opened to the public, Ford officials decided to build this gigantic exhibit. Henry Ford used his magic lamp, the same lamp of determination, efficiency, and invention which for 3 decades has helped him achieve the impossible, and there was assembled round him at once talent capable of fulfilling his requirements. What he outlined was a staggering undertaking, but overnight the project took shape, and great concentric circles of activity widened out from this initial planning. Albert Kahn, the great architect, viewed the 11-acre site and began to design a building which would symbolize the vast physical extent of the Ford organization, and at the same time speak of the thrilling idealism and vision that tinctures every sector of the Ford world. In a few days, steel girders began to rise on what had been a barren strip of sand along Lake at Dearborn. Overlooking this entrancing array of vehicles old and new is a great photographic mural. It covers 12,000 square feet on the tower walls and gives a vivid suggestion of the cycle of Ford production at the Rouge plant. For months, skilled photographers and technicians toiled to perfect equipment for making these murals, for they were to be the largest the world has ever seen. Success rewarded their efforts, and after they began the actual work of creating the murals, they labored for weeks making enlargements from literally scores of small photographs. In order to escape vibrations which might spoil the delicate precision of the specially designed equipment, these murals, 20 feet from top to bottom, were enlarged during the dead hours of the night on the top floor of a Chicago skyscraper. Between this striking expanse of mural panels, brief epigrams spoken by Mr. Ford stand out in silver relief. It has been said that Mr. Ford will be remembered by future generations as a philosopher and educator, as well as an industrialist. One can believe it, as he absorbs the scalpel-sharp but homely wisdom of Mr. Ford's observations upon society and its struggle for existence. Here are only a few of Mr. Ford's sayings displayed on the murals. It's not good business unless buyer and seller both gain by it. If you stabilize anything, it is likely to be the wrong thing. Industry does not support man. It is man that supports industry. A cheaply made product is too expensive to be priced cheaply. Never yet has enough of any good thing been produced for use. If we had more justice, there would be less need of charity. Overproduction is a money cry, not a human cry. Produce ever more. That a great industrialist is so socially conscious and so articulate as to thus express himself is an amazing thing to people who think of Mr. Ford simply as the world's greatest industrialist. In the Century Room south of the Rotunda, Ford car. In one spot, a torsion testing machine twists such parts as front axles, wheels, steering wheels, and connecting rods. Day after day, the strength of the twist increases until the machine is exerting literally hundreds of thousands of pounds strain against the groaning but staunchly resisting part. Parts taken at random from production lines in all Ford plants everywhere constantly meet exacting tests. They must answer size requirements expressed in thousandths of an inch and must pass the scrutiny of microscope and X-ray. In another machine, a heavy hammer drops with insistent regularity on the surface of a valve seat insert heated to a temperature of 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The bruising effect of more than 10,000 of these blows later will be measured down to less than a thousandth of an inch. Beneath the rays of an artificial sun many times stronger than the rays out of doors, cushion and upholstering fabrics are subjected to man-made weather to test their resistance to the elements. In this machine, months of ordinary weathering can be inflicted on fabrics in a few hours. Other tests measure the hardness of various metals. Still others demonstrate the exacting standards of size and quality which govern the manufacture of all parts on Ford automobiles. In another point in the exhibit, the visitor is projected into the realm of theory and future design. At a modeling table, skilled artists fashion body designs which today strike the beholder as bizarre and even freakish, but which may be familiar to all of us a decade hence. Accurate models of streamlined automobiles, railway trains, steamships, and airplanes are set in appropriate surroundings of modernistic houses, stations, or quays. Like a glimpse into the future, these models fascinate the beholder and stimulate his imagination. In another place, whirring looms clatter and whistle as flying shuttles leap with lightning speed across a growing piece of cloth destined to form a part of the upholstery in a Ford V8. These immense looms are controlled so delicately that they stop automatically if so much as a single strand in the pattern is broken. The cloth thus woven is cut to shape, as many as 50 layers in one operation, and fed into a multipleter, capable of producing seats and backs for 600 sedans an hour. In another part of the building, the romantic story of spark plugs is unfolded. The tale begins with the difficult and tedious mining of a rare orchestra, one of the finest in existence today. Under the baton of Victor Kolar, the entire 70-piece orchestra has been brought to Chicago and daily offers 2 concerts from a specially built shell on the lake shore at one end of the Ford Gardens. Outside the main building, a wide balcony shaded with awnings and umbrellas and equipped with tables and chairs invites the visitor to relax and look out over Ford Park and the cooling lake. All these attractions are made available to Ford guests without any charge. Inside the building are complete restroom facilities. A writing room has been provided. There are places to rest here and there, islands of repose in the midst of incessant human activity and mechanical motion. No detail was omitted in planning for relaxation and enjoyment to punctuate one's trip through the Ford Exposition. An escalator or moving stairway offers easy access to the balconies. At the head of the west stairs to the balcony is a spacious private club for Ford dealers and their personal guests. Nice, isn't it? At the end of this floor, a series of plaques, simply covered with neat arrangements of parts, some of them weird and unbelievably complex in appearance, display the 15,000 parts of one Ford automobile. A complete theater with stage and lighting equipment adequate for elaborate performances is situated in a wing of the building. Here, a motion picture fantasy depicts a Ford V8 completely assembling itself to the accompaniment of a special symphonic musical score prepared for the film. The Ford Exposition this year has eclipsed every other feature at the fair. On the opening day, officials estimated that more than two-thirds of all the persons who paid admissions to the fair betook themselves to the Ford Exposition Building. Its completeness and simplicity have evoked praise from housewife, child, technician, and unschooled visitor alike. Within its confines, there is ample interest for the common man and woman, as well as much material to interest and inform those well-versed in engineering, economics, education, history and the sciences, geography, political science, farming, metallurgy, radio, electricity, and many other fields. The scope of this brief presentation does not permit a full and adequate description of this fabulous assemblage of materials and men into the Ford Exposition. This description has touched only a few high spots. Truly, the makers of this Ford Exposition have wrought well, and he who set the project in motion has added another chapter to the story already writ large in the annals of our day, and destined to loom even larger as the world judges in the deliberate perspectives of time. So, come to the 1934 Century of Progress at Chicago. Glory